Legend speaks of a kingdom known as Tartaria, found only within records of old. Tales of advanced forms of technology, an empire that spans for thousands of miles, has seemingly disappeared overnight and has been forgotten beneath the surface. Is this history something that has fallen through the cracks and been lost over time? Or is it possible that someone tried to hide it?
There we go.
Perfect. Welcome back to another episode of Ancient Echoes Christian Conspiracy Edition. If you are new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button as we bring out content twice a week. We do our Christian commentary. Right now we're in the book of Genesis, going chapter by chapter. And then once a week, we get together and do a fun topic where we talk about Christian conspiracies. My name is Bronson Long. I'm always accompanied by my brother, Austin. Austin, what's up, man? How you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Christian Conspiracy. I say it every week, but it's my favorite night of the week. We get into really cool topics, far out topics. And tonight is we're going to be wrapping up kind of this old world series we've been doing. And we're going to be diving deep into the Tartarian conspiracy theory and the Grand Tartary Empire. And just kind of wrapping everything up and just showing what we have and showing what's out there. The internet's a crazy place, but sometimes you come across some stuff that has a little validity to it, and this is one of those things. Bronson, are you excited about it tonight? I know I am.
Man, I'm really looking forward to it, bro. I got to tell you, I am impressed with everything that you put together in such a short amount of time to bring together a nice episode full of information. And let me tell you, man, if you've gone through the Tartaria bubble before, there's maybe some things here you haven't seen before, because I've done it too. Maybe about a year or two ago, I went down this rabbit hole, and Austin showed me some things tonight that I was almost speechless. It took me a minute to kind of get my brain back wrapped around everything. So he's going to take us through a really exciting episode. So you guys strap in, man, and hold tight, because it's about to get crazy.
All right, man. Well, let's get into it.
Let's do it, bro.
Tonight we're going to be showing a lot of clips. We're going to be going into encyclopedias and all kinds of stuff, guys. So just dive in with this and let's check all this out. Tartaria is a fun one. So we got a couple clips to start off. It's about I think about 2 minutes a piece, but it's just to give kind of a little bit of a summary of what we've talked about and what we're going to be talking about tonight. And there's going to be a whole lot of this. So let's go and get into it, man.
I think we're seeing that our timeline really began right around 1700. I think this is when all of the structural things like governments, banks, the foundation of our civilization, I think this is when it all began. And this is all based on what we're being told, the dates that they provide us, the information that we are given using their data. So we have the top 10 banks in the world. Now we have shown that so much has started within the last 300 years. Everything that we have today that is a part of our civilization has been introduced within the last 300 years. And at the exact same time, right when we get the USA, right when we get these banks, these currencies, right when all this happens, this is the exact point in time that our civilization sees a massive spike in population. At no other point in time have humans repopulated at this rate of 66% increase every 69 years. Billions of people at a rapid pace According to the mainstream narrative, we are told that we're at our peak right now. We are the most advanced civilization ever. We have the most technology. We have the most amount of people. When this is simply not true, in my opinion. I believe that we have been given all of this technology back. I've said this before, but it is so true. I believe that our civilization is as advanced as we're allowed to be. We see these inventions just flying at us in the 1800s. Cars, phones, TVs, electricity, planes, you name it. When you're in charge of controlling an entire civilization, 300 years is nothing. To us, the 1800s were a long time ago, but in reality, this is nothing. We are being told that AI is a brand new thing, when it has, in my opinion, been here a very long time. And if we're being shown AI, could you imagine what else is not being shown to us? Thinking logically and using the information that we're provided. And very long time. And if we're being shown AI, could you imagine what else is not being shown to us? Thinking logically and using the information that we're provided. In my opinion, we are pinning this narrative down. We are finding our civilization's beginning point. And the more people that see this, the more people that understand this information, the more people that we have researching and looking for the truth, the probability of us finding the truth about our past becomes more and more eminent. All of this explains why we have buildings sitting in all of our cities and most of our towns that don't fit into our timeline. They don't look anything like the way we build today. And the only way to explain it logically is that an advanced civilization was here before us that fully understood how to create massive palaces. And it was a civilization that was worldwide. We see these cathedrals and basilicas in every single continent. It's not like it was just limited to a single location. This was a worldwide understanding, and something massive happened to them. And right around 1700, our civilization began occupying this land, with their work looking us straight in the face.
Yeah, man. So that gives a pretty good summary of what we're going to be looking into tonight. And just to give a disclaimer here, when we do these Christian conspiracy videos, we're covering the conspiracies of what's going on here. It does not necessarily mean that we buy into these things. We're just covering them. We cover it from a Christian point of view. We've shown a few Bible verses going into these past few weeks with Satan's little season. We did quite a bit of Bible verses. So I just wanted to give that disclaimer. We don't believe every little thing of all of this stuff. Bros, do you have anything you want to say on this?
No, that's all right. Man, haters gonna hate, man. They'll accuse you of everything. You know what I'm
No. I
saying?
just want to make it clear that I think there's some value here.
Yeah.
And could it be true? Certainly, I believe that we have been lied to about history. But I just want to make it clear that we don't believe every little thing in this. I think these buildings were from a previous civilization. I think there was most likely a worldwide civilization. Was it Tartaria? It could be. There's it's just a working theory more or less, but I did want to point that out that hey, we don't buy into every single conspiracy theory there is, but we do like to cover them, and they are fun to cover. But there is a lot of stuff here, and I'll tell you what, we have the Encyclopedia Britannica pulled up here. Let's go to that CIA document, because let's do that first. I should have said this before we started, but let's do the CIA document, and let's take a look at this, because this is where the Tartarian theory starts. Okay, This is where it had its base at, and it's kind of just snowballed from there with people gathering information, and a lot of things are attributed to Tartaria, and I'm not sure if they should be or not. A lot of the things that people say are Tartaria, I'm not sure how it relates all together, and I don't think anybody really does. It's just like these old world buildings. It feels like it's just all kind of just tied to Tartaria. And it all starts right here. So, Bronson, if you would just read this section, um, it's kind of hard to read, guys. So, Bronson, if you don't mind, my eyes can't handle
I
it.
got you. So,
Thanks.
in case you are listening and not watching, this is on the CIA.gov. So, we are on the Central Intelligence Agency's website, and I have it highlighted on the screen. This is just a small portion of a pretty large document here that reads, for example, on the 9th of August, 1944, the Central Committee of the Communist Party, sitting in Moscow, issued a directive ordering the party's Tartar Provincial Committee, quote, to proceed to a scientific revision of the history of Tartaria, to liquidate serious shortcomings and mistakes of a nationalistic character committed by individual writers and historians in dealing with the Tartar history, end quote. 12. In other words, Tartar history was to be rewritten, let us be frank, was to be falsified in order to eliminate references to great Russian aggressions and to hide the fact of the real course of Tartar-Russian relations. And this was no isolated case. In every Muslim area within the USSR, historians, on orders of the Communist Party, have rewritten history to distort the facts.
Yeah. So this is where it all starts. It's right here in the CIA document. And well, what's funny, man, is that this is from the CIA, and they're talking about how Moscow had them and the Communist Party had them rewrite history to hide the facts. But you know what? In school, we're never taught about this place either here in the U.S.
Yep.
It's very, very strange. All right, now that we've shown that that's in the CIA, that's from a CIA document. Bronson, could you go up to the top so they can see the URL on this and see that
Yeah,
hey, it's
sure.
actually from this is from the CIA's own website, guys. Okay, so we're not showing screenshots here. Yeah, it's CIA.gov. This is from the CIA, so this isn't a screenshot. This isn't falsified. This is from them. And honestly, I invite you to go to this website and in the search bar, just type Tartaria.
Yeah. Oh, buddy, you're gonna come across some crazy things. This is the easy one to read. All right. The other ones are like trying to read a serial number, and whatever they're trying to say is crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, some stuff about polio, the polio virus. It's all kinds of stuff in here, man. So I invite all of you to go and search for this. Okay, there's something here.
Yes.
Whether it's the worldwide civilization that all this architecture and technology gets attributed to, I don't know. But there is something here, and it is being hidden. Now, if you type in CIA Tartaria into Google, the first thing that pops up, of course, let's go. Let's show it. Yeah, it's better if we just show it instead of me describe it. And we'll just read. We'll read what it says right here up top.
Let me take exactly what we need to write real quick.
Fact check.
Here we go.
Now it says in this fact check that it was not a country. It's a baseless conspiracy theory. Anytime you see those three words together, baseless conspiracy theory, you're most likely dealing with mockingbird media of some sort, CIA control. It was not the name of a country. Okay. But just keep that in mind. It was not the name of a country.
The Tartarian Empire is a baseless conspiracy theory that only began to gain traction in 2018.
Well, see, anytime you see baseless conspiracy theory, that's a key word, okay? Just understand you're dealing with some kind of mockingbird media because that's the phrase they use every time, and they've been using conspiracy theory since JFK. That was formulated by the CIA to discredit any kind of anything coming out about what they did to JFK. So now that we've seen that, it says, can we highlight it is not the name of a country? There you go. All right, so you see that there. Now, let's go and see what the Encyclopedia Britannica has to say. See, you find good stuff when you get into these old encyclopedias, especially pre-World War II, pre-World War I. Oh, look at there. Could you read just that first line for us?
Yeah, that says Tartary, a very large country.
Of Asia. Now, in these old encyclopedias, a lot of times the S's look like F's. So just keep that in mind when we're reading that very large country of Asia. Could we go back to that fact check?
Yeah, I just closed it, but hold on, let me double check it. Here we go.
Yeah. It's
So,
not a country, apparently. It's a baseless conspiracy that it was ever a country. So, okay. Well, let's go back to the encyclopedia. What does that say one more time? I just want to show.
So, Tartary, or Tartary, a very large country.
Oh,
Asia.
so apparently it was a very large country. Now, there's some interesting things in this encyclopedia that we're going to get to in just a moment. But, one thing about countries, they usually have flags. So let's take a look at some of these flags. Let's see if we see any that could be Tartary or Tartaria.
Let's do it. Close this top portion real quick.
My God, what is that right there? Pause it real quick. Well, yeah, pause it there. Look at that Tartary. Do you see that it's like the griffin? I know it's blurry here, guys, but that's the Tartary right there was a griffin. Can we go back just like one frame? I'd like to point out how the flag of China looks here. So you have a griffin here on the Tartarian flag with the yellow background facing right. Now, press play on it. Let's go back one frame. I didn't notice this one before, but after reading that encyclopedia, yeah, pause it right there, sir. Look at there, China up there in the top right. Do you see it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Griffin facing left.
Left. Very interesting.
So it's very, very similar. China and Tartary's flags with both with griffins just facing in opposite directions. You have the Griffin of Tartary facing towards China and the Griffin of China facing towards, or it may be a dragon. I would think so with China, but it looks very similar to the Griffin. Sorry, it's blurry here, guys.
Yeah.
But I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really cool there.
We can let it play out, man, because there's some maps on here I'd like to point out here at the end, too.
Very, very close design there. Very close. Wow.
Now, here at the end, everything that was outlined in yellow is a part of Grand Tartary. And there are some maps out there, and I believe this is it right here. It's hard to see. But it shows that North America was a part of Grand Tartary, that stretched into North America, into the United States. And a lot of people believe that at one point it was a worldwide civilization, and they had control over North America and over almost all of Asia, except for China and some places in the southeast of Asia. But for the most part, it was all Tartaria. It was all Tartary. Now, just showing those flags and everything and seeing that it was a country in the encyclopedia. You have any thoughts on that, Bronson, you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, this is something, like you said before, Tartary in some way, shape, or form has kind of become this umbrella term. You know what I mean? It doesn't always necessarily have to do with the country of Tartaria, or the Tartar people, but there's certain characteristics and traits that you see that are kind of profound when looking into this old country and this old world. And we see certain things, landmarks and architecture, and some things that kind of relate to it. People sort of lump it in there, but like you said earlier, it's hard to tell just how much of this really is Tartaria or not. But when we looked at that
Right.
encyclopedia right there, I mean, he's given longitude and latitude. This is a real place, man.
It definitely is. Well, let's show it in the encyclopedia, and it gives very specific, geographic locations of the borders, rivers, mountains. Um, it's a little hard to navigate this, so just bear with us for just a moment. Let's go
Yeah.
over to the next page, brother, because that's right there at the bottom right of that one. Now, this is the Encyclopedia Britannica from 1917. You can find this at the Library of Scotland. Could we go up just a little bit and show the URL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So if you want to find this for yourself, you can see it. This is coming straight from the National Library of Scotland. Now, you can find some really cool things. Side note, in that Library of Scotland, a lot of people, and I believe it's true, that the Knights Templar went to Scotland and built Rosslyn Chapel, either that or inhabited Rosslyn Chapel uh, after Friday the 13th, and being executed by the order of the King of France. Um, so if you're looking for some obscure text or anything like that, a good place to start might be that Library of Scotland. But let's go down here. There's some interesting things here. Let's just show some of the text. We don't have to read it all to them. There's a lot of it's a rough read, mainly because of those S's. I want to call it. I want to say F every time I see an S. But
Yeah.
as we go down here, you see the Caspian Sea. It gives you longitude and latitudes.
It's a lot. It talks about foliage, the animals that live there, the lakes and mountain regions and all that, how it kind of separates into different sort of tribes, if you will. Very, very, very cool type of information here. But for something that wasn't a country, man, they had pages and pages to write about here.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't a country. Go to the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's a large country.
Right.
Go back to these old books with flags of the nations. And there's the flag.
Yeah.
The encyclopedia calls the country, and it has a flag.
Baseless conspiracy. Baseless.
Baseless conspiracy theory. Baseless conspiracy theory. The grass is green. Lies.
Yeah. This is dangerous to
No,
our
it was
democracy.
definitely a country. Now, whether it was this worldwide empire and that's where all this architecture comes from, that's highly debatable.
Yeah.
But did it exist? Yes. And I've seen some people online that I actually have some respect for be like, oh, it never existed. See, the sea is still called the Tartary Sea over by China and everything. And I get it. That's, now there is no country called Tartaria. I understand that. But if you actually look, if you go back and look, Encyclopedia Britannica says it's a large country. The old book, the old graph for flags of the nations has the flag on there. So yes, it was a country. And this is, I believe, 1917. So even with this theory, this would be way after with the Tartarian Empire. If you read through this encyclopedia, it says at that time they were under the control of the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've covered, we have a whole Nephilim series, starting with Christian conspiracy Nephilim, then going to Christian conspiracy hybrids, Genesis chapter 6, part 1 and 2. And we do a full breakdown of the Nephilim. What we didn't cover in that was some of the burial mounds and quotes from Abraham Lincoln. And there's a lot of other things we could add in there. But I'd like to show you guys something that's in this encyclopedia that's in Tartary. Bronson, if we could go to that passage, man. Like I said, your eyes are better than mine. So let's check this out.
We're basically there.
Right there at it.
Starts right here with this strange, remarkable piece of antiquity called the Sedmi Paladi. I'm probably butchering that, or the Seven Palaces. And it has an article on that later. So That's pretty interesting. And it comes down talking about how there are found many tombs and burying places of ancient heroes who, in all probability, fell in battle. Their tombs are easily distinguished by the mounds of earth and stone raised over them. The Tartars say that, I'm just trying my best here, Tamerlane had many engagements in this country with the Kalmucks, whom he in vain endeavored to conquer. Many persons go from Tonsky and other parts every summer to their graves, which they dig up and find among the graves of the dead considerable quantities of gold, silver, brass, and some precious stones, but particularly hilts of swords and armor. They also find ornaments of saddles and bridles and other trappings for horses, and sometimes those of elephants. Whence it appears that when any general or person of distinction was interred, all his arms, his favorite horse, and servant were buried with him in the same grave. So I know that was quite a bit of reading, and if you're trying to read along with this, man, unless you're familiar with some things like maybe the Bishop's Bible, this is kind of difficult to follow along with. It just sort of messes with your head when you're trying to read this stuff. But he starts off by saying that there are large mounds with stone, headstones that are all likely to be heroes here, fallen in war. And every year, these guys would go up here and dig up the graves and find gold and silver and brass and precious stones, hilts of sword and armor, bridles for horses, and even of elephants, which is kind of interesting. Because to my knowledge, elephants are what, India and Africa, right? It's the only two places elephants are.
I am not an animalologist.
Yeah, you
But
know what? Me neither. I'm not. Somebody in the comments is
I
gonna.
know
You don't know
zoologists.
nothing.
Don't kill me in the comments.
Yeah. How do you
But
read the Bible? You don't know where elephants are from. But yeah, so it's pretty neat that they can go into these things.
Like it says, they've continued to dig for treasure for many years, and still find it unexhausted. They
Yeah.
found an entire table made of silver. There's pure gold. I mean, there's riches and riches up there. But the mounds, that's the giveaway. We're gonna go ahead and just stay with Tartaria tonight. But I encourage all of you, if you a little unfamiliar with the mounds, like Serpent Mound and some of these mounds, I encourage you to go and listen or read Abraham Lincoln's comments on Niagara Falls. Okay. At the very end of what he's commenting on Niagara Falls, he says, just looking at the beauty of it, imagine that, even once, that it's flowed like this for a long time. And once upon a time, the giants whose bones filled the mounds in America, and he just says it in passing, like everybody knows that, the mounds were giant bones. Just go check it out. I'm not making it up. You can look up Abraham Lincoln quotes on Niagara Falls, and it's right there. It's right there towards the end of it. I think you can look up a recording of somebody reading it, and I think it's like a minute 30, 2 minutes long. So not a long listen, but it's there. So I wanted to point that out. That's something that's really cool in here. But if you guys want to go look in Encyclopedia Britannica from the Scotland National Library, you can go through here and read it. You can trace down the latitudes and longitudes, trace the rivers, see the boundaries of it. It was a place. It was a country. It had a flag. So take that, fact checker. All right.
There's pages here, man. We're just kind of getting started.
There's plenty of pages on it. There's a lot of cool stuff in that encyclopedia, and I think we'll most likely, I know me and Brawl said after we get done with this recording, we're probably going to go look at that Seven Palaces. If it's something that's really, really cool, we'll patch it in. But all right, man, let's go to another clip.
Let's do it. Here we go. These guys are crazy here, man. And
I like these dudes. I like these dudes a lot.
Me too, bro. It's kind of fun. All right, here we go. You ready?
Let's do it, man.
Tartaria was this empire, highly advanced. This empire existed in modern day Russia, but now historians stuff like, no, it didn't. Well, guess what? There's a document from the CIA about Soviet Russia and the impacts of communism with the changing and racing of history. And they talk about Tartaria. It says, or let us take the matter of history, the core of a people's cultural heritage. For example, the Central Committee of the Communist Party issued a directive ordering the parties to proceed to the scientific revision of the history of Tartaria. Tartar history was to be falsified in order to eliminate references to hide the fact of the real course of the Tartar-Russian relations.
What does that all mean?
So basically,
It existed.
that just made me freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the Native Americans and like how developed they were and like how they're connected to people groups from all over the world. But the Smithsonian's like, no, we're going to write history like this. They were isolated and dumb.
Yeah, it can't be vindicated because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's just covering basically what we said. So this is, people know about this, man. And when you start seeing that the CIA has it in their records, the Soviets covered it up. I mean, it was there, man. Why are they covering it up? Why are we not told about, this area or anything? I mean, we're told about everything else.
Mm-hmm.
We're told about the Mongolian Empire. And I mean, they're all in that same region. Why is Tartary, why is that not a part of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's the big deal?
And then you have it showing up in the CIA records, and it's like it hit the ground running. When people found this, it's like, okay, all these old buildings are, Tartarian, and they could be. I don't know. There's a lot of similar structures all around the world, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Supposedly nobody had contact, and they were so far away, and nobody had transportation, and everybody was so stupid. Right.
Right.
And apparently, all of humankind was just stupid until the 1800s. I don't know, man. It doesn't sit right with me. There's something here, whether it's Tartaria that's a worldwide empire or whether it's the millennial reign, like a lot of people think. We covered the little season last week, and I don't fully buy into that. I'm still on the fence about it because, there's certain things of Revelation that we covered last week in our Christian conspiracy. But I see where they're coming from, man, because it's hard to explain, why is this architecture like this all over the world?
Right.
And nowadays what we make is just garbage.
Right.
Just complete garbage compared to some of these places. I mean, the cathedral in St. Petersburg, I mean, golly, how beautiful. Angkor Wat. I mean, how just intricate and massive. And I mean, just the details on it, man. It's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning.
It makes you wonder, kind of a little sneak peek maybe into what we'll be doing a few weeks from now. When the whole world seems to be gathered around this Tower of Babel, perhaps they may have had some knowledge, and when their language was changed and they took it all to the world, they lost the language, but maybe not the knowledge on how to take some of these structural buildings with them and how to make some of these things. So
that could be it, man. That could be it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really long time ago, though. I understand that. I get that that's way long time ago, and perhaps you could argue that by the time Jesus walked the earth, we were using candles and leaves for toilet paper. I guess I don't know, but somewhere along the way, the evidence is there that there was some type of knowledge to make massive structures. And check out the Ether video and our Satan's Little Season video. Somewhere along the way, the whole world knew how to do something, and for some reason now we don't.
Everything's all just big boxes.
Yeah, right. Just tin cans, if you will.
Yeah, just make it, get it up, get it sold.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. God,
fill it with useless junk for the masses to come and consume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Just these places, the people that made these places cared. And I think Tucker Carlson could say it better than I can. Go look at some of his comments on architecture and how modern, postmodern architecture is oppressive on you. They don't care about the buildings or how it looks because the people in charge don't care about you. And you look at these are beautiful and works of art. It's not just a building for just an arbitrary, money making purpose. These were buildings that were built to last and with great detail and great care. Um, somebody who worked construction a lot as a young man, some of this stuff just blows me away.
Yeah,
Uh, you
yeah.
know,
I was
just
about to say that.
it blows me away. And modern day with power tools and electricity and running water readily available. You know what I mean? Supposedly back then they didn't have anything. They were
Right.
horse and buggy, and they had all these massive buildings, but they couldn't figure out the streets, so everything was just dirt. But they had these massive buildings that it's really incredible, man. And the more you look at it, the more you like start to realize, what we've been told is just ridiculous, man. Um, whether the Tartarian Empire was a real thing, or if it was a different kind of collective of peoples, or whether it was the people all leaving the Tower of Babel with certain Masonic knowledge, and
Hmm.
and the mystery schools all over the world just carried on this building knowledge and possibly knowledge of certain technologies, which is very possible.
Sure.
Um, but we haven't been told the truth. That's just a fact.
No, absolutely not, man.
Well,
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna stop bumping my gums, man. Let's get into some of these videos and let some of these people get some visuals.
Sure, man. Let's do it.
Tartaria, the largest, most advanced worldwide empire in history, intentionally destroyed by the Satanic Cabal. What's intrigued many of us researchers is the declassified document by the CIA which mentions the deletion of this country's history, although its remains are still everywhere. We've been indoctrinated with a false historical timeline. Our knowledge was erased and forgotten. These buildings were used for harnessing the ether and converting it into free energy. Their boats ran off free energy. The columns were electric, and the cathedral domes and towers were power stations for transmission of clean, free, and wireless energy. Later on, the parasites put crosses and other religious symbols to conceal the original purpose. Life back then was of community, of oneness, of health, and of technologies hidden from our timeline.
Wow. That seems to be something that shows up a lot with this, man, is the health and everything, the ether. It all just goes together. It's very interesting. Um,
Speaking of health, I know in Jubilees we came across that Noah was given medicine,
Tartaria.
which
yeah.
just neither here or there, but just while I'm thinking about it, I'd like to look into that a little bit more.
I've tried, not like I've spent, 5 years or whatever looking into it, and I came up short. You already know who's masking and gatekeeping and the stuff you're gonna find along the way, and um, it's very interesting though. It does bring into question, and again, guys, this is like a series, so what I'm about to say might not make sense if you haven't seen some of the ether videos and Satan's Little Season and whatnot. But
Oh, and that pertains especially to the Genesis commentary. If you haven't seen like the previous episodes, maybe some of the things we say sound off the wall or referencing something. It's a continuous series. And also, I'd like to say there's going to be speculation. If it's not in the Bible directly said, we're not going to say that it's 100%. I promise you, that's not what we're going to do. The Bible's our source for truth. We are both Christians. We started this channel to talk about Christian ideas and to tie cool things into the Bible. If it doesn't tell us particularly where Japheth's sons went, we're not going to say for sure. We're going to speculate on things and try and look at historical evidences and writings and whatever we can find. Like we dig in these encyclopedias, try to find whatever we can find. But a lot of times the information contradicts each other.
Oh,
There's not a whole lot we can do but speculate. we would love to be like, this is definitely what it is, but that would make us liars. So I know a lot of people, get on shows like, oh, this right, this is definitely what it is. Like they don't know that, man. They don't. They don't know that. That's one of the reasons we started this channel, because so many people just are so gung ho about things that they don't know, and we just felt like it would be better just to be honest and give, you know, honest opinions that, hey, man, nobody really knows. This is the best guesses we can find. Here's what we can find here. Here's what we can find there. But when you're dealing with things that are thousands and thousands and thousands of years old, and we're showing that history's been covered up and things have been, messed with, like timelines, and civilizations have been hidden, whole civilizations. I mean, it's a massive country that, now you have fact checkers saying, oh, it wasn't a country. I mean, dude, and this just from 1917 till 2024. So when we're dealing with things thousands of years old, I mean, we're just two dudes on a laptop. We're not psychics. You know what I mean? Definitely not. You know what I mean? We can't tell you for sure what happened in a, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, man.
No way.
All we can do is speculate. And, I say the psychic thing just kind of like a exaggeration, but yeah, we don't know for sure, man. All we can do is speculate. So
And
if you're looking for somebody to lie to you and make it sound fly to you, that ain't us, man. We're just going to try and give you everything we can find on it and be as honest as we can. And if that doesn't suit you, then I'm sorry, man. Go to somebody that's just going to puff a bunch of steam at you and don't really give you nothing.
That's right, bro. I'm so glad you said it. But it's
a lot of liars out there, man. A lot of people that just try and tell you something to get some views or get you to buy something, or dude. If it's not 100% for sure, I'm not gonna co-sign it. I don't know about you, Bronson, but I'm not gonna co-sign it.
No, I'm not. But I will certainly listen, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this channel too, is you and I, and this is nothing against if you go to a church, or good for you, but Austin and I both had a time in our life where we felt like we were learning more just by reading the Bible and just getting in the Bible and reading it over and over again. And when we stepped out of that bubble, I wasn't around just a bunch of non-denominational or Pentecostal people all the time. I began to realize that there are lots of other beliefs and lots of translations that are all under this umbrella of Christianity. And in so many ways, I had very, very much trouble navigating my way through conversations with these people, whether they were Black Hebrew Israelites or Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever they may have been. It was hard for me to understand where they were coming from, where they were getting their information from. And that's part of the reason we wanted to do this channel as well, is to give Christians the tools that are necessary in order to have a decent conversation with one another, to know where each other are coming from, to be very informed on your own beliefs, and to have, just to love your God, man, to love your Bible, and to learn your beliefs even stronger than what they were, because nothing made my belief in the Bible stronger and my knowledge more, than to talk to some of these people outside of the bubble. But anyway, back to some of this Tartarian stuff. When it comes to healing, here we go, speculation time and action. When it comes to healing, it becomes, and please hit us up in the comments. I love some of the insights. One guy put something about some of the dyes with different colors and a couple
smells. Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool.
That was so cool, man. I really appreciate the comments, dude. They're just so much fun for me to read and to go dig out myself and to see where you're getting the information from. I absolutely enjoy it. But anyway, when it comes to healing, we see a lot of this dialogue being attached to the ether and healing. And I'm not going to say I hate it or love it or whatever. I just get confused on it, because you do see some of the medicinal value in the Book of Jubilees given to Noah. He gets a book, if you're unfamiliar with it, where it seems to me to be implied that it's herbal medicine. And then when it comes to Christ, and even, correct me, is it Elijah or Elisha, the one that lays on top of the boy to heal him? There seems to be, I don't know where to put the ether in there for healing qualities, when Christ spits on the ground and takes the clay and puts it on the guy's eyes. And
it may not even be from the ether. I've heard it referenced several times. It may just be with frequencies. and manipulating electricity in some way with frequencies. Like, uh, what was his name? The dude that was in Hustle and Flow. We showed his clips in the Ether in the Old World video.
Oh, yeah.
Terrence Howard. Terrence
Howard.
Howard. Sorry, guys. He was alluding to certain things like that, and that's a lot of people say, "Oh, that's New Age," and yeah, and it very much sounds New Age to me. A lot of this stuff does. Anytime you start talking about vibrations and frequencies and all that type of stuff, but
Right.
there are frequencies. I mean, audible frequencies like the hertz and how things were changed with Rockefeller, and I don't know, man. That I think there's something to it. I think that being around a lot of these artificial microwaves and I don't want to be Mr. Oh, the 5G is going to get you, but yeah, it's probably not super great for us, man. And it probably does break us down more. And we've seen over the past 100 years an explosion in cancers and different things that we get off of plastic, atrazine and BPA's and things manipulate with us. So there's a lot of harm out there. So there could be another side of the coin where there's frequencies that are healing and things that are positive for us.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be something as simple as I've spoken before on this channel how when I was younger I hung out with some witches and stuff, and I was just a young guy, so whatever. It was just a phase, but there are certain things that aren't so far out. If you cook in a cast iron pan, you get iron in your food, and newsflash, if you don't know, it's good to have some iron in your food. You know what I mean? My water bottle is metal, and I use a metal water bottle so I don't have to deal with BPA's and stuff inside the plastic or whatever. Does that mean that the metal is healing my water? I don't know. You know what I mean? But you get what I'm trying to say here, though.
Yeah, just all it is just protecting you from BPA's. But I
Yeah.
mean, hell, I'm drinking out of a plastic water bottle here. You know what I mean? There's only so much that you can do, and
Right.
at a point you become just kind of maniacal, and it's just like, oh God, what if I do this? We live in a fallen world. You just got to trust in Christ, and
That's it.
and just trying to protect yourself the best you can. You know what I mean? That's about all you can do with this type of stuff. But as far as like the healing frequencies and whether I know like the big bells, like the Freedom Bell and stuff, I know that plays into some of what some people say about healing, like the bells, it vibrates at a frequency that may have uh, had healing properties and there's a lot out there, man, and I can't really prove any of it, but there's a lot of different theories about healing and maybe being able to use the bells in some way to create a frequency that could lift heavy objects. And I know there's a TikTok or some kind of a short going around where a guy's using sound to lift a small ball. So it's kind of like on a smaller scale what a lot of people theorize about, the blocks of the Great Pyramid and that Baalbek and things like that. But
Right.
it's hard to nail down anything concrete without massive funding and doing testing for yourself.
But there's a Christian explanation somewhere, and that's our goal, yours and I's, I imagine, is that
And when we do these Christian conspiracy videos of a lot of times it's just to show cool things that tie into the Bible, man, because it's a really cool world and there's a lot of things out there. There's with all the technology out there and being able to communicate with anybody around the world instantaneously through social media, there's so much knowledge out there and so many things that we don't know. There's so many things in the Bible, like sites in the Bible they haven't found yet.
Yes.
There's lots of things like that. But all right, that was our little talk. So let's get back to some of these clips, man.
That was fun. Let's do it.
Why is the government lying to us about history? There is a civilization as recent as 100 years ago that was omitted from the history books called the Tartarian Empire, and it was technologically far superior. They were able to convert atmospheric pressure into electricity, and as a result of unlimited free energy, they were able to direct their focus towards unity, oneness, peace, love, and harmony, which we don't see in today's society as there is no profit for evil people in times of peace. Tartaria was a country with its own government, its own flag, and its own place on the map. Its territory was huge, covering over 3 million square miles, and if you look back far enough, the country exists on maps predating the 19th century. The Great Wall of China, which is located on China's northern border, is believed to have been built by the Tartarians, although history would say otherwise. There are openings on the wall that are only accessible from the north face of the wall, or from Tartaria. The world government destroyed an entire utopia and kept it hidden because they don't want humanity knowing that there is sustainability in the collective without the interference of heads of state.
Man, that's a bold claim there, bro.
Dirty commie.
So I suppose it's time to transition into if this was such a thing, and I think you've brought up quite a bit of compelling evidence that this was a country, this was a place that you could have visited. The question is, well, where is it now, and what happened to it?
Well, a lot of people believe that there was a worldwide mud flood that happened. And there is some evidence for that. I don't know, man. There's a lot of photos of buildings being dug out of mud, and we're about to show some right now. But this is the working theory for what happened to this empire. Well, let's go and just get into the video. Just speak for itself.
Let's check it out, man. Dude, that has floored me again. That was what I was referring to when we started the video earlier today. And I said some of these things I haven't seen, I haven't processed it yet. Some of those pictures I saw years ago, some of those are just wow.
I've seen people online kind of making fun of some of it. Some of it is it's just it's a basement. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
certain things are blown out. It's like, well, oh, what's down there? Well, ask the people that live there to go downstairs and tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
right.
some of those you're looking at are massive buildings that go way down, and the architecture that's under the ground is completely different than what's above the ground. So there is some ridiculous things out there, but there's some of it's like, okay, well, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's look at a few of them, man, because
yeah,
some of these are like this here. Please tell me that that's fake. Like that's the
that,
one that blows my
right.
mind.
You'll see a lot of things like this, and I'm not sure where this is, so this may not be an instance of this, but a lot of times they'll dig and they'll start finding these roads and like these cobblestone roads and things that they attribute to the ancient Romans, like the Roman roads and everything that have
That's
been
gorgeous.
just overgrown, and some of that is, but I'm not sure about this one, but there's a lot underground, and throughout history, let's just be clear, uh, places have always like civilizations have always built upon other civilizations,
Yes.
um, and that's everywhere. Um, a lot of the cathedrals worldwide, whenever they went in there, they would build these cathedrals on top of these old pagan sites, these old pagan temples, and they would build upon them. So that is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why they would do that, I don't know.
I'm sure.
Personally, me, if I was building a Christian church, I would want to be not any part of a pagan temple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, far away from ball.
Yeah, but far away from where they were doing all those rituals and everything. I mean, yeah, you can cleanse it or whatever, but I don't want to, even be considered considered as the same thing to the local population. I want to be a completely separate and set apart, religion from what had been there before.
Yeah.
Some of these are wild, man.
Some of these are wild. Look, I mean, I'm going to speculate that is at least, a 2-story high building there. I mean,
Oh yeah, at least. Just
and these
underground.
are old too, if I'm not mistaken. This is what is this, 1860, right? Something around that time. This is I'm stretching back a couple years ago, but
The earliest photos that I've seen, and now it may go back further than this, but me personally, we're in the 1840s.
40s.
So I automatically assume no matter what, if I'm seeing older pictures, it has to be 1840s and later.
Man, I gotta tell you.
Look at that there. You see the buildings on top, and then the columns at the bottom and everything. That's fascinating. I wonder where that is at. I wish it had the locations of this so we kind of go check for ourselves.
We have some viewers in Europe, man. If you guys know some things like this, hit us up. We are a little bit in a bubble. A little bit. We're in a bubble over here in America, man. We talk about how things are built in like little boxes, but we have a brother that lives in Germany, and he sends us pictures of like the coolest buildings I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
kind of down the street is that's our post office actually.
Yeah.
Cool, but there's
let's go to the next video. It's got, I believe it has some more of these.
Oh yeah,
let's remember correctly, and we can kind of check out some more of this stuff concerning the mud flood and
that piano was incredible, man. I was digging that song.
They've been hiding the true answer to this question from us. Why are these doors and windows halfway in the ground? During the early 19th century, strange events were reported worldwide. Cities were being dug out from layers of mud and debris. Buildings were being revealed that were covered to their rooftops in mud. A global cataclysmic event buried entire civilizations, erasing them from history. But here is where it gets rather unsettling. The Tartarian Empire, an empire often depicted in old maps, was an advanced civilization that existed across Europe and Asia. They built architectural marvels, had access to advanced technology, and were able to harness energy from the atmos. The mud flood, many say, was a deliberate attempt to wipe out Tartaria from history, hiding their advanced technology and knowledge. But it gets even darker. Look at the world's fairs of the late 1800s and early 1900s. These elaborate buildings, resembling ancient architecture, were supposedly built in just a few years. After the fairs, they were supposedly demolished. Was this to erase evidence of an advanced pre-existing civilization? The Chicago World Fair in 1893, the Paris Exposition in 1900, and the St. Louis World Fair in 1904. These events showcased magnificent architecture, and on official papers they were apparently built with plaster and wood. Do these look like temporary structures to you? The sudden disappearance of these architectural marvels raises the question, were they remnants of the Tartarian Empire, conveniently disguised as temporary exhibits and then destroyed to hide their origins?
That picture right there is just, that's crazy.
That's not Rome. That's not Vienna. That's Chicago.
Like what? Like, yo, home of the deep dish, Chicago? Yeah, that one. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, home of the drive-by. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Like, man, it's just crazy to me, man. Like, it's hard to believe that that's just a. Yeah, I've never really been to Chicago. I think I've been to the airport or whatever. My lady spent a little while there. But just to think that that's not too far in the grand scheme of things from where we live, man, we could have gone and seen that, and it's just gone. So, but that World Fair is interesting, man. Do you want to go to the next clip? You want to take a second to kind of enlighten the audience on what the World Fair might be?
The World Fair. Let's see. What is the next clip?
We have Star Forts.
Well, that's another thing that plays into it. But let's talk about the mud flood and these World Fairs a little bit.
Let's do it, man.
Now, with the World Fairs, the theory is that after this mud flood, that whatever wasn't taken out by that mud flood was basically just inhabited by us, and that the scientific and ruling elites invited each other to see all these things around the world and to show off this old world technology, and that afterwards it was destroyed to hide it from the filthy masses, if I'm understanding the the conspiracy correctly. But it just blows my mind that some of these places, like we showed last week, that one place held 300,000 people. I mean, and if any of you didn't watch last week, the biggest football stadium is the Big House for Michigan University of Michigan, and it holds 100,000 people. So this place held 3 times that amount. And then they just tore it all down. I don't understand it. But not only the World Fairs, but they would also have massive fires. Like every city had a massive fire. A lot of people know about the Great Fire in Chicago, but that was in a lot of these massive cities. If I'm not mistaken, right after the World Fairs would be, there would be like a big fire in these huge stone buildings. Go outside, even with some gasoline and a lighter, try and catch a stone on fire. Tell me how that works for you. How do these massive stone buildings catch fire and burn down? I can understand like the trimmings inside and furniture can burn and everything else, but the actual outside shell made of stone, that doesn't burn like that. Like some of these photos, like from Chicago, the Chicago fire, it almost looks like a big, missile blast or something wiped out this whole city. Yeah. I mean, it just blows your mind. So I invite. We don't have a whole lot of these pictures right now about these fires and everything. So I encourage you to go look at. Jared Boosters has a video. Has a whole video on before and after of some of these fires that took place. I know he has one on Chicago, and I think he has some on some of these other cities. But just the Chicago one, go check that out. That's Jared Boosters, JARIDBOOSTERS. Definitely go check it out and look at all those photos he compiled there. He did a great job. He can do a better job than I can of showing you these things. And he did the work. So I encourage you to go visit his channel and give him a like and subscribe. But it'll open your eyes. It's like, man, and go into it thinking like, how does stone burn?
Right.
Got me, man. You got me.
So if we were to make a rough timeline, I enjoy timelines. We have the Kingdom of Tartaria, right? Or just this old world, I guess is a better way to say it, that large umbrella, the old world. Our next big moment in time is mud floods. Yeah.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Now, we talked about Satan's little season on the last Christian Conspiracy, and before that, the Aether in the Old World. Mm-hmm. I'm more inclined to believe it's like more of a millennial reign type of thing than I am, the Tartarian Empire thing, even though I'm not sold on it, us being in Satan's little season right now. I'm not completely sold on that yet. Maybe somebody can sell me on that. I'd like to have on one of these guys, that do all these videos to just answer some questions, not like a hostile type of thing, but just explain to me what you're seeing that I'm not seeing, and like let's go over some of these verses and just like explain to me how this works.
Yeah, just from your perspective, show me what's up.
Right. Well, show me what I'm missing, because I feel like I've been going over and over it, but like what happens in Revelation before you get to chapter 20. It doesn't seem like all that's happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, if you can show me some evidence that the sky was rolled up, like a garment, and that a third of the stars have fallen far before Revelation 12 has happened.
All of the stars fall from heaven to earth.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I believe stars are angels, and I believe there's luminaries that are angels or over. Go back and look at our Genesis commentary on Genesis 1, and I explain all of it. And I repeat myself all the time if you guys haven't noticed. So I explain it and explain it and explain it. So go back and check that out. But if you can explain to me what happens in Revelation and how that's already happened, cool. I'm right there with you, because everything else in the theory, I'm right there with you, dude.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I believe that there's a satanic cabal that is hiding history and hiding technology, and if you don't think a satanic cabal is running this world right now, man, I don't know what to tell you. You're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Check out our 60/40 bill video. I try to say it quiet. But
Yeah, and even I'm not going to go there.
let's
But
do it. Yeah, let's avoid it.
so, yeah, don't get me started. The Rumble exclusive.
Right, yeah. We've been kicked off of YouTube. But so you have the mud floods come in. World
Right.
Fair comes after, and I just did a quick little Google search because I remember being taught in school about the time where the White House was burnt down, and I understand that some of our audience members are probably you may be in your 50s or 60s, and I'm just gonna tell you, your education was way different than mine, guys. We colored and stuff, bro. We didn't do a whole lot of learning in school. So I just remember being taught that the White House was burnt down. So it was 1814 when that happened. And I was just trying to connect that maybe with some of the mud floods, these fires you're talking about, World Fair. And that's basically all I have to say. I'll just let you kind of play with that and tell me what you think.
So let's just say the Tartarian Empire was a thing, and that is the worldwide civilization that we're looking at. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So if it was, it would be. I would assume that it would be dark in the Dark Ages. What we know is the Dark Ages, up until around 1700, and then somewhere between 17 and 1800 mud flood, like
Okay.
a great reset mud flood. And a lot of people believe that the mud flood was done purposely, using this technology to flood all these areas. See HARP, cloud seeding, what just happened in Dubai from the UAE, cloud seeding. Look at the cloud seeding in Vietnam. Michio Kaku, who's a physicist and a scientist, just talked about this in the clip we've played. I think we played a couple of weeks ago. But the theory is that the mud flood was done on purpose to wipe out the civilization, and then whoever was behind that, let's just say the cabal, kept this technology for themselves, and it has been drip feeding it to us since the 1800s. You have the world fairs to kind of show it off, show off what they had to everybody, and show off the architecture, almost like an art gallery. And then they burnt the. And this is just the theory, okay? This is not me telling you exactly what happened. This is the theory, and that they destroyed the architecture, burnt down a lot of these cities, rewrote history, and then drip fed us the technologies they wanted us to have. They, is the cabal, and directed humanity through controlled scientific breakthroughs, which was just giving us technology back in the forms they wanted us to give us, to enslave us through laundering all of our resources and monetary value to them for these things. I know we talked about Tesla and the free energy. You can't put a meter on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was tapping into the old world technologies, and the powers that be did not want that. And they smeared that man and destroyed his life, and he died penniless. One of the most brilliant men in recent memory. I mean, they even have rewritten the school books. Like my kids brought home, and I know this is a little off subject, saying that Thomas Edison was the main guy that was pushing alternating current, and that's completely not true. Edison and Tesla were competing at the time, and Edison was on the side of direct current, and Tesla was the one pushing for alternating current, which is what you have in your house to this day. That was Tesla. And in the school books, it says it was Edison.
Wow.
So the smear campaign has gone on way past his death.
That's silly.
And I believe it's because he was tapping into these old world technologies, and to the aether, and to things he wasn't supposed to be tapping into, because that was reset and taken out of the population's knowledge.
Wow.
So that's kind of the timeline theory on that. And you saw a little bit in the first video tonight where you see the population shoot up. Yeah, man. So that's kind of the timeline on that. Now,
So
if you
then sorry.
I was going to say, now if you look at it from a millennial reign perspective,
Mm-hmm.
the millennial reign would have been somewhere in the dark ages, the same thing. You just
Right.
replaced Tartaria with millennial reign, and that at some point in the 1700s, Satan was released, and then basically started just wiping out all the evidences of a millennial reign, worldwide millennial reign on Earth, and just covering up history, changing history books, getting rid of anything that could point to a millennial reign. And this is,
Okay.
basically the same timeline as if you just take out Tartaria, put in millennial reign, Satan enters into the 1700s instead of some kind of cabal creating a mud flood to wipe out the civilization. It would be Satan being released.
All right. I'm cooking something up here. I'm gonna throw it your way. Tell me what you think about it.
All
So
right.
now, as far as I know, you're of the same house of belief that I am, and that we consider most of the time when the Bible is talking about the groom and the bride would be, the people who are going to receive Jesus at the marriage supper of the Lamb. But I've recently, within the past couple of months, heard somebody bring up the concept that perhaps the bride is actually, New Jerusalem or whatever. And so hear
That's
me
not
out
what
on
it
this.
says.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. Then hear me out on this, okay? And please pick and poke at this, because all we're
Well,
trying to
just
do here
before
is
just
just run
before
the
we
truth.
get there, the marriage supper of the Lamb was in what, chapter 18, right?
Give or take, yeah,
Revelation.
probably really
You don't
close.
see New Jerusalem. New Jerusalem doesn't come down until new heaven, new earth. So the bride cannot be New Jerusalem. So
Yes,
that's the first poke in that, because until there's new heaven, new earth, there is no New Jerusalem descending.
got you. Okay, yeah, and I'm with you on that 100%. Revelation 12, woman in the sky, clothed with the stars, moon at her feet. You guys all probably know the verses more than likely. So Satan pursues after her in an attempt to get that man child that she's going to deliver. He gets cast down to earth, third of the stars with him, right? And he goes to pursue after the woman, and the earth swallows her up, and he's spitting a flood after her. So my point in saying this is whether it's Tartaria or the millennial reign, because as you're speaking about the millennial reign, my one question is that I may have found some type of answer, I guess, is that if Satan is released from his from his 1,000 years of being imprisoned, and he's out here, destroying history and covering things up, one, we have some type of explanation for a mud flood when he shoots the water from his mouth to go after the woman. But two, my next question is that we talked about in Satan's little season that Jesus doesn't leave. The millennial reign is there, and he's here on earth, and he's there, he's on earth. Is it possible that when that earth swallows up the woman and her child, did Jesus and the saints go into the earth, and that's why Satan can destroy the history if there is, because Christ would be here now? You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about the Revelation 12, it says it's in heaven. So what you're looking at is at constellations.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, I believe, I could be wrong, I believe what it's talking about there is movements in the heavens that you'll see.
Okay.
Even to where the earth swallowed it up. Now, I could be wrong, because, at this point in Revelation 12, Jesus hasn't come back yet.
Yes. Right. Yes.
So, if that's happened on earth, could it be, the church that is, taken into the earth, like we talked about, was it in Numbers?
Yeah, with Korah.
In our Hollow Earth video, where the family was swallowed up under the earth and they didn't die.
Yeah,
That could be a shadow of what it's talking about there if it's not happening in the heavens. Sure. I don't want to speculate, but
yeah, we'll watch out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's That's the best shot I got, man. Either it's something happening in the heavens, or it could be something like whose family was that again?
Cora,
Yeah,
K-O-R-A, Cora.
Korah and Korah's sons, right? Is what it says.
Yeah, a couple other families chose to side
Could
with
you
them.
could you tell me where that verse is real quick, just so
Numbers 23.
it's in Numbers. I do remember it's in Numbers. So, um, yeah, check that out. Korah's family being swallowed up. So that could be a shadow of what's to come there. But as far as if Jesus is here, he was not here at that time
Mm-hmm.
because Jesus comes later.
Yeah, great argument. Great points on that for sure. And I've always had the question in my brain, and guys, hit us up in the comments for sure, about who that woman and that man child is. You know what I mean? And how do I identify them properly? I understand that Virgo is the virgin, and I know a thing or two about constellations a little bit, but what does Satan have to do as a constellation? He would be a larger figure than them, I would imagine, right?
Well, I don't. It doesn't technically say it's Satan. It says it's the dragon in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Draco.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So
All right.
yeah, I think that's what I mean. I think a lot of that is in the heavens, and it's
Mhm.
talking about in Genesis it says the sons are the luminaries are made for telling signs and seasons. I said that very horribly, but that's what it says. So it's a sign in heaven, is what I believe.
Gotcha.
We're looking
Gotcha.
at there.
Very good, man. Thank you very much. I know that some of our viewers don't really care for it when we have the conversations like this, but to me, it's fun. I think it's thought provoking. It creates a conversation in the comments. I learn from it. Hopefully, other people do too. Worst comes to worst, if it makes you open up your Bible to say, "Man, that's stupid, Bronson. I'm gonna go prove him wrong." That's fantastic, dude. As long as it gets you through your Bible, I'm a happy guy. So.
Well, that's why we started doing this, man, is to show cool things and to have biblical conversations and to spark ideas and get people in the Bible, and so we learn too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not Charles Stanley up here telling you that once saved, always saved, and doing it very solemnly so you believe the lie. We're just two dudes talking and looking up things in the Bible, and just we correct each other all the time because we have ideas and we throw it out there. Maybe you're right, and maybe scriptural, and may have something like. We talked about, with New Jerusalem, it's like, oh, no, dude, because it comes down in new heaven and new earth. So it just doesn't work chronologically. So we work through things, man. If people don't like it, I don't know, man. Iron sharpens iron. And if you can't have these conversations, you know what I mean?
Yes, 110%. Thank you very much for that, man. Thank you for taking the patience and time to walk with me through that. You want to get on to the next portion of this video?
Yeah, there's another aspect of this conspiracy is the star forts. And I find them very interesting because I like architecture. I know you guys can probably tell because I'm always wanting to put clips of old buildings and cool looking things in these videos. But let's check out some of these star forts because these are attributed to Tartaria as well. And it's a theme. If there's something wacky or out of place or doesn't seem right, it's just, hey, it's Tartaria, man. But that's just seems to be how it goes because we don't really have anything else to describe what were these for. These star forts, they're very intricate looking star-shaped forts. They're all over the world. I believe there's 1,500 of them, over 1,500 of them, all over the place. There's maps of this, and you guys can look it up. But even our Statue of Liberty sits on top of one of these. She may cover it in this video. It's been a few years since I've seen this video, but Michelle Gibson did this, and she does a very good job. And also, I would like to recommend, because we did use a big clip out of it, the Old World Order. I think it was done by Stu Peters. Michelle Gibson is in that movie, and I've watched about half of it. We're super busy, guys, so I've gone through about half of it. It's really good so far. So if you're interested in this Tartaria theory, this old world theory, the Aether theory, or the millennial reign, Satan's little season theory, go check that video out because it has a lot of it's well produced. It has a lot of really good commentary in there, guys. But this lady's Michelle Gibson, and she's in that movie. So let's get into this and let's look at this video about these star forts. I think it's about 5 minutes long. Guys, just sit back and enjoy it.
What are star forts, and how many of you know anything about star forts? They are quite interesting, massive, and beautiful, and found in many different styles all over the world. My name is Michelle Gibson. I'm going to start sharing some with you today, like this one in Fort Bortange, Netherlands. Here's one in Portugal. Another one at Hakodate in Hokkaido, Japan. And one in Palmanova, Italy. If you would like to see an in-depth video on the subject, I recommend the New Earth Channel's video, Star Forts or Ancient Power Stations, Star Forts from All Over the Globe documentary. I watched this video in 2015. This was my first introduction to the subject. She does a great job bringing forth fascinating information on this obscure topic. This is Fort Monroe in Virginia. While star forts can be construed to look defensive in nature, this explanation does not fit when one really looks closely at their configuration. There is speculation from on-site evidence at different locations around the world that there is connection to energy generation in some way, and star forts globally have been covered up, utilized, or destroyed. Here are some more examples in the United States. Fort Ticonderoga in New York State. Fort McHenry in Baltimore, Maryland, where the Star-Spangled Banner was written. Dry Tortugas National Park in the Florida Keys. Castillo San Angelo in St. Augustine, Florida. Hey, and looky what's underneath the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty on the Battery of Manhattan Island in New York City. All of this information on star forts applies to my intuitive journey of uncovery. I first saw the Star Fort New Earth Channel video on YouTube at the end of 2015. On January 1st, 2016, I traveled to Heavener Runestone State Park in Heavener, Oklahoma with my travel friends. I went there looking for ancient walls because I had seen a wall-revealing video by the redneck archaeologist on his YouTube channel, and he lives in the area. When I was there in January, I noted a recurring triangular-shaped pattern in the stonework around the edges of the site. I thought at the time that it looked like it might be a star fort after having seen the video. What this awareness led me to directly, within a short period of time, like maybe a week, was an intuitive hit that I received when listening to a YouTube video of a song by Will Ackerman called Climbing in Geometry. The gigantic land feature pictured here throughout the music video reminded me of the shape of the triangular points of the star forts that I had recently become acquainted with, including those at Heavener. So I Googled climbing in geometry, and this marks the very beginning of my cracking the code of how the ancient civilization is covered up by calling man-made structures natural features. And I encountered a rock climbing article that referred to thoughtful moves on polished slabs at this place in Carter Rock, Maryland, very near to where I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland. It is called Jungle Cliff. My research activities became more focused when I found the North American star tetrahedron, which would have been in February or March of 2016. And then I started looking specifically at the places on the alignments and getting even more information about the similarities of everything around the world. There are so many things that went into all of this information that I'm sharing with you now. One insight led to another and another. I also had the ability to visit many places in person, and I did so. This helped me to understand what I was seeing.
No offense, but if you still think stocks, real estate, or crypto are the best passive income investments,
Don't you talk to me about money. That was
Yeah.
really cool, man. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Some of
and-
those are beautiful.
Oh yeah, most of them are. I mean, they're and we can come off a screen share, bro. We'll save the Great Wall of China movie. We'll do one on that one. But yeah, the Star Forts are cool, man, and they're all over the place. And they theorize that that's about power generation as well. And I believe that's more along the lines of like the ley line theory and using the ley lines in conjunction with the aether to create a worldwide power grid. And uh, I don't know if it's true. It may be, may not be, but it's very interesting, and they're all over the place. And it's just another sign of what she called the ancient civilization, which I think is a more fair term to use than Tartaria, because there's not a lot of evidence that these were from Tartaria. You know
Sure.
what I mean? You can use the maps that show that the Grand Tartary encompassed all of North America and most of Asia, but it's hard to really say that it was Tartaria. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think calling it the ancient civilization is a more apt term to use. I think that's what uh, I'm gonna commandeer that term and use that from now on. The ancient civilization. Now, whether it's the Millennial Kingdom or Tartaria, I don't know, but there was an ancient civilization, and they have very similar buildings all around the world. It looks like that it's been covered up with lots of mud or dirt, or you know just time taking it over, like some of those old Roman roads we've talked about. And in Britain you see them all over the place because after they left, nobody maintained them anymore. The earth kind of overtook them, so you do find those. What do you think, Ross? Do you have a working theory on this, or are you leaning a certain way, or
Well, for a
what?
long time, I leaned towards the ley lines. When we were working towards the ether, working towards that video, I did a couple of experiments at home, just with electromagnetism and just kind of messing around with some things. And I want so badly for there to be a connection between ley lines and the ether to be there. Um, but I don't know yet. I really don't know. Those star forts really. Have you ever seen those videos? I'm kind of going off here a little bit, but I promise I'm saying it for a reason. There's these videos of whether it's electrical generators, like little green boxes out in front of people's houses or whatever. They put sand on them, and then they start running certain electrical currents through there that are equivalent to X amount of hertz, right? And once that frequency hits, the sand begins to change shape, and they make all sorts of I
Yeah.
guess you call it geometrical shapes or psychedelic type of figures.
Yeah, they change the hertz and it gives different shapes, and they can do it with water too. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah, yeah. And so
And
um,
those star forts look a lot like those shapes.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
getting at. Yeah.
yeah,
And so there really, really, truly could be something to it, man. It's hard not for me to get frustrated doing this stuff because I hate being lied to. You know what I mean? I hate it when
right.
things are hidden from me. And it's one thing that if you say, hey, this is something that's really advanced and takes a lot of time, practice, skill, and knowledge, and it's going to take you 60 years of your life to get really proficient at it. And as soon as you get good at it, it'll be time for you to die, and it'll be too late for you to teach it. You know what I mean? That's one thing I can accept that. But for me to be out here just working all the time to try and find something that someone has deliberately hid from me, and not just me, everybody, that it's so hard not to get frustrated to look at this stuff and just you know, that's how I really feel about it.
I'm glad you brought that up about the sand and the different frequencies that you can use, because they do match those star forts pretty well. I almost found a clip of that to show with those star forts, because I wasn't going to include the star forts in it because it's a whole lot with the mud flood and the architecture and going back and forth between Tartaria and millennial reign and those kind of ideas and concepts. So I didn't want to throw too much on it, but that would have been good to add. And I thought about it, but I decided, nah, man, it's just a whole lot of clips, and
Mhm.
we're getting late into the night, anyways. But are you leaning a certain way toward Tartaria or millennial reign, or like where you at as far as that goes? Is more what I was asking you.
Oh, okay, I understand. Sorry, I thought you were just asking about Star Forts in
No,
particular.
no, no. I'm glad you brought that up though, because But every time I see them, I'm like, man, it looks like the
Yeah.
sand or the water experiments
Yeah.
with changing the hertz. So yeah.
I think I'm still kind of in the middle a little bit. I'm really leaning towards is that this was some type of knowledge that seems to have been worldwide. That whenever there was a large gathering of people, I'm not saying every individual human had knowledge of it, but it seems that all over geographically speaking, there were pockets of humanity that had understanding of incredible feats of architecture, possibly even advanced technology. And somewhere along the way, somebody took advantage of maybe a cataclysm, or took an advantage of something that could have happened, whether it be the mud floods, volcanic activity, who knows, man, tsunamis.
Ron Emanuel said, "Never let a good disaster go to waste." Or
Exactly right. And
never
when
let a
that
good
happens,
crisis go to waste. Yeah.
sure. And there's a lot of stuff that goes along the way. Again, I'm no history buff, guys. I'm 27. I'm trying really hard, but I know that there's, the Bolsheviks, and lots of people died. You know what I'm saying? And when we go through just something as small as what we did in 2020, I know it didn't seem small to some people at the time, but the majority of the people that died, they were old people. And when you lose old people, you lose really good old school knowledge, solid experience, and wisdom. And when that happens, man, people of my age and younger really suffer because we don't get some of the fruit that took a long time to harvest. We lose it. And so maybe that's what happened to some of this information. Maybe some of it is intentional and some of it is natural, a combination of the two. But to answer your question, I hope that answered your question. That's kind of where I'm at right now. How about you? Where have you kind of changed, or where are you standing at?
You know me, man. I'll take it all in and I'll just let it sit until something's revealed to me. Otherwise, I'm just kind of where I've been at. That there was an ancient civilization. I think we were lied to about history. I think that most likely timelines have been changed, and we're probably not in the same year as we think we're in. Um, but as far as the millennial reign already happening, I don't think so.
Right.
There's there's a lot of reasons why I could say, yeah, that's already happened. We're in Satan's little season, but the things that happened in Revelation before you get to that point don't appear to have happened yet. So I have to say, I'm still in the camp of we're before the millennial reign and we're coming into tribulation, which I know want. It's kind of like the standard belief, but that's still where I'm at right now. And I could change. I've changed on a lot of things. I've changed on my cosmology. I've changed on that I don't accept dispensational theology. I was raised in that. Um, about certain nations that I don't want to get canceled for talking about. I've changed my views on that, especially since I was a kid. Um, so I can change. I will change if I come across more concrete evidence on that. But I do believe that there was this ancient civilization, as Michelle Gibson said, the ancient civilization that appears to be worldwide. Um, and those star forts are all over the place. You know what I mean? That type of the dome and the arches architecture seems to be all over the place. Um, and you find it in the Americas, South America, and all that. And guess what, guys? Rome didn't go there. So um, I think a lot of the things also that are attributed to Rome aren't always Rome.
Yeah.
So I'm still pretty traditional where I think we are in the end times scope of things. I do think there was an ancient civilization and we have been lied to, but I'm not prepared to say it was the millennial reign, and I'm also not prepared to say that it's definitely Tartaria. I don't know that it is Tartaria. It could be a different civilization that we're not knowing about. Maybe the Mongolian Empire was much larger than what we realize. You know what I mean? Like it could be a whole lot of things. History is written by the victor, and typically the ones in power, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Um, and you can look at it with the leaders now. I mean, if you live in the United States, we're basically ran by a pedophile death cult. So, and we work enslaved to keep paying in this pedophile death cult to go around the world, stealing and raping and sacrificing kids and killing people all over the place and overthrowing democracies and propping up dictators. We're run by garbage, and I think it's been like that since the beginning of time. Look at the things Nero did. Look at there's in power is always corruption, and I believe that the powers that be, the mass satanic cabal, as they put it in that one video, has been hiding things from us. I mean, if their master is the father of lies, then what a tale they can weave.
Yeah, well said. Wow.
Well, with that, guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We got our Genesis commentary. We're still in chapter 10. We're going to be doing the Sons of Ham and getting into some Nimrod discussion, and it's going to be good. We're going to be very, very thorough with it. We're going to only concentrate on this episode on the Sons of Ham, and the following one will be the Sons of Shem. And then after that one, this is every Sunday going on, we're going to do a wrap-up video, and it'll kind of be a Genesis commentary Christian conspiracy mashup, to where we're going to show a little bit of what we've been talking about here in conjunction with those genealogies, and I think it'll be a cool show. But I've had a blast tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed all the clips and kind of getting into this a little bit more and covering, where Tartaria comes from, CIA documents, the Encyclopedia Britannica, and just kind of showing some evidence for it. And I've enjoyed it, man. But yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, send this out to anybody that would be interested in it, and check us out coming up on Sunday. We're going to have a really good conversation on that. I'm super excited. Well, for me, I love you guys, and hope you guys have a great weekend coming up, and we'll see you back on Sunday.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it, man. One thing we will always agree on is Jesus Christ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time on Ancient Echoes.